Have you noticed that your feet seem colder than they used to? Maybe your legs feel tired after a walk that once felt easy. Maybe you occasionally notice tingling in your feet, or your calves don't feel quite as comfortable as they once did. And if you're over 60, you may have simply thought, that's just part of getting older. But here's the thing. Not every change in your legs should automatically be blamed on age. Cold feet can have simple explanations. So can tired legs. Temperature, inactivity, or spending too much time sitting can all play a role. But when changes are persistent, unusual, or getting worse, they deserve attention. Today we're looking at one surprisingly simple food that has attracted serious interest in vascular and cardiovascular research. You can turn it into a simple drink. And the interesting part isn't really the beet itself. It's what your body does with what's inside it. Beetroot contains a natural compound called dietary nitrate. Your body can convert that nitrate through a pathway that helps produce nitric oxide, a molecule involved in how your blood vessels regulate their tone and blood flow. But here's what almost no one tells you. What happens after you drink, it is actually the more interesting part. There's a step in this process most people have never heard of, and it has nothing to do with your stomach. The beetroot isn't the whole story. The pathway is. One more thing before we go further. You may have heard claims that beetroot can dramatically improve circulation or even fix circulation problems. Some of those claims go further than the research actually supports. So today we're going to separate what beetroot may realistically do from what it can't do, and show you how it can fit into a healthy circulation routine after 60. Because better circulation isn't about finding one magic ingredient. It's about understanding what your body actually needs. Before we talk about how to use beetroot, it helps to understand what we're trying to support. Think of the blood vessels in your legs like a huge network of flexible roads. Your heart constantly sends blood through this network, delivering oxygen and nutrients to your muscles and tissues. When you walk, your leg muscles need more oxygen, and healthy blood vessels respond by widening to let more blood through. Blood vessels aren't rigid pipes. They are living tissue. And one of the molecules involved in helping them respond is nitric oxide. It signals the smooth muscle around blood vessels to relax, which can allow the vessels to widen and make it easier for blood to move. This is why researchers became interested in dietary nitrate, because nitrate from certain foods can enter a pathway that contributes to nitric oxide production. Beetroot happens to be particularly rich in it. But there's a detail most people miss. Eating nitrate doesn't simply mean more nitrate equals better circulation. Your body has to process it first, and that process involves something surprising: bacteria in your mouth. After you consume nitrate, some of it is converted by oral bacteria into nitrite. That nitrite can then go on to contribute to nitric oxide availability. So your mouth isn't just where digestion begins. For this particular pathway, it's actually part of the process. That's one reason researchers have studied dietary nitrate in relation to blood pressure, exercise performance, and vascular function. But let's be clear about what this doesn't mean. We're not saying beetroot opens blocked arteries. We're not saying it treats peripheral artery disease. And we're definitely not saying a glass of beetroot water replaces medical treatment. If you have persistent leg pain when walking, a foot that suddenly turns cold or pale, wounds that won't heal, significant swelling, or sudden changes in one leg, those are reasons to talk to a healthcare professional, not reasons to try a drink first. The goal here is simpler, looking at nutrition as one piece of the circulation puzzle. And that raises the next question: how much beetroot are we actually talking about, and does the form matter? Knowing that nitrate is involved in the nitric oxide pathway is one thing. Knowing how to use beetroot in everyday life is another. You don't need a complicated 10-ingredient recipe. You don't need a mysterious powder. You don't need to turn every glass of water into a supplement drink. The simplest approach is to treat beetroot as a food you add to a normal routine. You can eat cooked or roasted beetroot with a meal. You can blend fresh beetroot into a drink. Or you can use unsweetened beetroot juice, diluted with water, if you want something more convenient. One distinction matters: beetroot juice isn't the same as beet-flavored water. What matters for this story is the naturally occurring nitrate, so check that a product actually contains real beetroot rather than just flavoring. Keep the recipe simple. A modest amount of beetroot or unsweetened juice mixed with water is enough. You don't need added sugar, several tablespoons of honey, or a long list of synergy ingredients just because another video insists everything works better combined with something else. For someone over 60, simplicity is an advantage. The easier a routine is to understand, the easier it is to keep doing. And don't forget, hydration itself matters, but more water isn't automatically better either. Your fluid needs depend on your activity, diet, and health conditions. Some people with heart or kidney conditions have specific fluid guidance from their doctor. The goal is a reasonable habit that fits your body, not a forced quota. Now, before you reach for a large glass of beetroot juice every morning, remember that open loop from earlier. This is where it pays off. Here's a mistake I don't want you to make, assuming that if a little beetroot is good, a lot must be better. Nutrition doesn't usually work that way. Beetroot is a food, not a medication with a dose-response curve you can max out for extra benefit. Drinking large amounts won't necessarily give you a bigger effect. It may just mean more oxalate, more natural sugar, and no additional advantage. But here's the mistake that actually matters more than the amount: ignoring the pathway itself. Remember that step in your mouth we mentioned. Nitrate has to pass through oral bacteria to become nitrite before it can contribute to nitric oxide. That's the part most beetroot videos leave out entirely. They treat it like drink beet, blood flows better, as if it happens instantly in your stomach. It doesn't. Your body needs time to process it, which is why some exercise research has people consume nitrate-rich foods before activity rather than expecting an effect from the first sip. There's no universal magic hour for someone simply supporting everyday circulation, though. If beetroot works better for you at breakfast, that's fine. If you prefer it with lunch, that's fine too. Consistency matters far more than precise timing. And if you're drinking beetroot water but spending the day sitting, smoking, or leaving high blood pressure untreated, the beetroot won't cancel those things out. Think of it as one supportive brick, not a rebuild of the entire house. So the better question isn't, what should I put in my water? It's, what am I doing every day that supports my blood vessels? That's where we're headed next, starting with what the actual research says. Does drinking beetroot water translate into better circulation in your legs? Not necessarily, and this distinction matters. Researchers have studied dietary nitrate in beetroot in several contexts: blood pressure, vascular function, and exercise performance. Some studies suggest increased nitrate intake can influence nitric oxide availability and support aspects of vascular function. That's encouraging. But research isn't a guarantee. Studies differ in the form of beetroot used, the amount, the participants, and what they measured. Some look at healthy adults, others look at people with specific conditions. Few directly measure whether an older adult with poor leg circulation walks farther or has fewer symptoms as a result. Think of it like a road map. The research shows a biological road connecting dietary nitrate to nitric oxide and blood vessel function. That doesn't mean everyone who takes that road arrives at the same destination. Your age, activity level, diet, blood pressure, medications, and existing conditions all shape the outcome. This matters especially if you already have circulation symptoms. If your legs consistently hurt when walking and the pain eases with rest, that pattern can be peripheral artery disease and needs medical evaluation, not a smoothie. A leg that suddenly turns cold, pale, painful, or numb is a medical issue, not something to experiment with nutritionally. But if you're generally healthy and looking for foods that support cardiovascular health as part of a balanced lifestyle, beetroot is genuinely interesting, not because it does everything, but because it's one small, reasonable habit among several that work together. So here's the honest answer. Beetroot is interesting for vascular function, but the research doesn't justify promising that one glass will fix poor circulation in your legs. And that distinction is exactly what separates a useful food habit from a marketing claim. Beetroot is one piece of the puzzle. 3 others matter just as much, kept short. Move. Walking helps your leg muscles pump blood back toward your heart. Even short bouts throughout the day beat sitting for hours straight. Manage blood pressure and cholesterol. They affect your blood vessels as much as your heart does. Drinking beetroot juice every morning while ignoring uncontrolled blood pressure means focusing on the smallest part of the picture. Don't smoke and eat real food most of the time. Vegetables, fiber, less ultra-processed food. Less exciting than a secret ingredient, far more important long-term. And don't ignore changes in your legs. Persistent swelling, pain when walking, or wounds that won't heal need medical evaluation, not another food added to your routine. Pick one manageable habit and build from there. One habit you keep beats an elaborate routine you abandon after 3 days. Beetroot is a food, not a treatment. Before you try it, there are 3 things worth knowing. Number 1, kidney health. Beetroot contains oxalates. For most people, that's not a concern, but if you've been told you're prone to certain kidney stones, or you've been given specific dietary restrictions, check with your healthcare professional first rather than assuming a general recipe applies to you. Number 2, blood pressure medication. Beetroot and dietary nitrate have been studied in relation to blood pressure. That's not a reason to reduce or stop prescribed medication. Never adjust treatment because a food seems to have a similar effect. Think of beetroot as a possible addition to your diet, not a substitute for care. Number 3, warning symptoms. If one leg suddenly becomes very painful, swollen, unusually cold, pale, or discolored, don't wait to see if a drink helps, seek medical attention. Persistent leg pain when walking or wounds that won't heal deserve a doctor's evaluation too. One small note, beetroot can turn urine or stool pink or reddish, a harmless effect called beeturia. Don't be alarmed by it. But don't use that explanation to dismiss unexplained bleeding, either get that checked. The better mindset isn't, here's the ingredient, drink it, problem solved. It's what's actually happening in my body, and what role can this food realistically play? You already know what this is, beetroot, for its dietary nitrate. So the real question now is, what should you actually do with that? If you remember only 3 things. 1, think food, not miracle drink. No 10-ingredient recipe, no expensive supplement stack. Beetroot with a meal or unsweetened juice diluted in water is enough. 2, remember the rest of the picture. Movement, blood pressure, and cholesterol management, not smoking, and appropriate medical care matter more than any single food. 3, pay attention to symptoms, not just habits. Persistent leg pain, non-healing wounds, or significant changes in color, temperature, or sensation deserve a doctor's evaluation, not another ingredient in your water. So if you're over 60 and want to try this, pick one form of beetroot you'll actually enjoy, add it to a meal or a glass of water a few times a week, and pair it with the habits that matter more, moving daily, keeping your blood pressure managed, and getting checked if something changes. That's it. That's the whole plan. No complicated stack required. As we get older, healthy circulation isn't about finding one perfect ingredient. It's about consistency, giving your body the conditions it needs and making choices you can realistically keep up. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing to Human Restore for more evidence-based nutrition and healthy aging content for adults over 60. And I'd love to know, have you tried beetroot or beetroot juice, and what was your experience? Leave a comment below. A quick note, this video is for educational purposes only. It's not medical advice and doesn't diagnose, treat, or cure any condition. If you have persistent circulation symptoms, kidney disease, a history of kidney stones, or you're taking medication that affects blood pressure, talk with your healthcare professional before making significant dietary changes. If you develop sudden severe leg pain, major swelling, unusual discoloration, or a leg that turns suddenly cold or numb, seek medical attention promptly. Take care of your body, keep moving, and I'll see you in the next one.